Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we are based, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and extend that respect to the elders past and present.
Hi everyone, I'm Nivaaz. I am an electrical engineer turned self-taught software engineer and entrepreneur. And just to give a bit about context about my background, I've worked in education at Art of Smart, which some of you may have heard of. I worked in the crypto scene at a startup. I worked in finance and trading at VivCorp Trading, which you also might have heard of, and potentially have also heard of Canva. Really interesting experience, and I did that all in like 4 years of uni, so that's been really awesome, but it came out of a lot of my failures, which is probably the most important thing I like to put out there. And I'm currently an entrepreneur at Antler, so I've deferred this year just to take a break for myself, because I think you need that sometimes when you're doing engineering. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to build my own startup because that's been my mission in life, and I was like, why not do it now? So what I'm going to talk to you about today is entrepreneurial drive. This is a presentation that I also gave at Canva earlier this year, and I think my friends kind of liked it, so happy to be sharing that again. Entrepreneurial drive is basically like the mindset, or like like a compilation of little tips and tricks that I've had along with through what I've had through my uni career, to sort of plant seeds for your future self. To allow you to work at all these amazing places and have really great opportunities. So here's a couple of things that we'll discuss. So I've basically broken down the concept of entrepreneurial drive, or the entrepreneurial mindset, into 4 different categories. So the first one is knowing yourself and understanding yourself. The second one is personal brand. The third one is opportunity, and the last thing is sort of a STEM/engineering mindset. So let's get into it. So before I go into the points, I love using the analogy of thinking of yourself as a business, and hopefully that will make sense as we go through everything. But from a high level, basically what it means is like you need to know the insides of the business and how every single little individual is performing in order for the business to be its best on the outside. A business needs to have like a great marketing or branding sort of element to it in order for it to be well known and for it to get new opportunities and grow. And finally, it needs to sort of, try different things and explore different opportunities in order for it to grow as well. And STEM mindset we'll talk about when we get there. So let's move into the first part of it, which is understanding yourself. So in order to be, I guess, at your best, whether you're performing in a team or it's just you individually, or you just need to be great to, do an exam or like be performing at your best every single day, whether you're going for a run or doing, technical work or running experiments, you need to be good to yourself. So that means that you're treating yourself really nicely, in the sense of you're getting enough sleep, you're eating enough, you're staying hydrated, and you're not doing things that I guess hurt you. So whether that's consuming too much alcohol or partying too much, it's, trying to keep everything in moderation so that you're kind of balanced and at your best when you need to be. The second thing is to learn from yourself. So everyone makes mistakes, and that's totally okay. That's normal. Everyone does it. I've done it heaps. But it's important to sort of reflect after you've had some time from that failure or mistake, and look back and say, okay, why did that happen? What can I do differently? How can I do better? And just learn. Maybe you didn't drink enough water last week and you noticed that you had a really bad headache at the end of the day. It's like little things like that that you can change almost immediately. And the last thing is running experiments. So that's like just touching on the scientific mindset is what I like to call it, or the engineering mindset, which is running little experiments in your life, which are like, testing out if staying up all night works for you when you need to cram before an exam, or if you're more of the person that does little study spurts throughout the semester to sustain and remember content. I'm definitely someone that has to work consistently throughout the semester rather than cramming at the end. Like, that just does not work for me. And that was a learning that I had. But I love running little experiments to learn and develop myself. The next bit is personal brand. So personal brand is really important for a lot of different things, but taking it back to that business analogy, you need to look good on paper and be discoverable. People should be able to easily identify like who you are and what your unique assets are. So for me, I'm the JavaScript girl most of the time, or the person that, like, you know, knows how to code and has a good eye for design, all that sort of thing. So, you know, when you talk to someone, they should be easily identifiably, like, be able to say, oh, you're that kind of person, or your unique asset is this. So, you know, what is valuable from you that you bring to the table. So the three sort of areas that I've broken this into is having a great LinkedIn, sharing your experience, and making connections. So the first part is having a great LinkedIn. So keep yourself, your LinkedIn updated, share your experiences, whether it's through a university society or not. I'm really grateful for, you know, working in, having opportunities in Tweet and Women in Engineering, and all of my experiences and what I learned from there is on LinkedIn, because they're just as valuable as, you know, doing work in a real office. The second thing is to share your experience and add value. So this is actually a marketing tactic. So if you were to go out there on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, and you were just like, oh, you know, today I won a gold medal, I'd be like, yeah, cool, that's fine, but so have all these other 50 people. Tell me about your learning, right? So as soon as you start to add value for your audience and share your experiences, it's a lot more valuable. So for example, if I said, today I won a gold medal, but it came after years of failure, you know, hard work, 5 a.m.s, all that sort of thing. And I learnt to be, you know, determined and consistent and not, you know, be downtrodden by any of my, you know, hard times or failures. That is so much more valuable for your audience, and they're going to want to interact with you more. And that's like the content that you should be putting out there, and not just, you know, I interned at Oricon. It's like, what did you learn while you were there? And the last thing is to make connections. A really cool thing about, well, I shouldn't say cool thing, but a unique thing that's come out of COVID is that everyone's up for a Zoom call. So if you're interested in working in a new space or exploring a new opportunity, you can jump on LinkedIn and talk to absolutely anyone, and say, hey, can we have a 10-minute Zoom call or a half-an-hour Zoom call? And they're willing to do it, because everyone has to do it every day at some point because of the lockdowns. And yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn and let's chat. I'll set up a Zoom call with you to learn more about this stuff. Yeah, and I mean, again, tying it back to that idea of you being a business, like making those connections can be really important and beneficial for branding. Like, they can tell you, like, other people can tell you about, like, other people can tell other people about, you know, what makes you really awesome and cool, and that can lead into job recommendations and all that sort of thing as well. The last bit is creating opportunities. So I like to phrase this as like, or I guess like sharing my experiences, that I had no idea what I was doing for most of my uni career. But what I did know I wanted to do was to create as many opportunities as I possibly could as I was going through my degree, to make sure that my marks were not the only thing that, you know, held me back. But I was, you know, not determined just by marks, but I was determined, or like seen as someone that was an all-rounder, because I did sport, or I did, you know, leading the Tweet team or Women in Engineering, and doing outreach and that sort of thing. And that was like my unique asset. So I wanted to be seen by that and not as a number from my marks. And that always made me stand out in applications and things like that, which has really been awesome. So this breaks into 3 segments. So the first one is capturing your learnings. So again, linking back to that personal branding bit. So whether you're writing a blog, which I have, and I love that, and it's part of how I create opportunity for myself, because it means that more people are discovering it and discovering me and what I've learned in different ways, whether it's sharing it on Instagram through stories, sharing it on TikTok or LinkedIn, capture them and put them out into the world, or speak on a panel or something like this, like I am now. And the next thing is to pick up something new. So I did electrical engineering, but I'm completely self-taught in software engineering. So I just went on to LinkedIn Learning and started learning stuff through there. I found it really hard to actually find myself a side project, and ended up going to someone and having them say, hey, I want to build this product. I'm happy to mentor you through it. Let's build it together. And that's how, or what really fueled my motivation to learn to code and then keep coding, and also build my confidence to keep going, because I think I'm someone that's always afraid to hit the run button when I'm doing code. And just to wrap it up, because I'm running low on time, the last thing that I want to say is that there's two kinds of people that are out there. There's ones that create opportunities for themselves, aka me, and the second which sit around and wait for it to hit them in the face. You want to be the proactive person that goes out and creates opportunity by saying yes to as many things as you can without hurting yourself and your well-being. And yeah, doing awesome things that sort of add up in the long run, but might not look super beneficial in the short term. Thank you. And if you've got any questions, let's connect. Check out my website, it's cool. But yeah, let's chat. That's the end of my prezzo.
Thank you for that presentation, Nivaaz. Now we've just got a couple of questions. Okay, Nivaaz, how have you been motivating yourself to continue on these branches of teaching yourself new skills, and just throughout uni and everything in general?
Yeah, awesome question. I think it's a hard thing to keep yourself motivated in the long term. I think one great way to do it is have someone keep you accountable or do it with you. So whether that's your best friend or your partner or, someone in your family, doing that, or, splitting it up into really small chunks. So whether it's 15 minutes every day or half an hour every day, or I love utilizing the time that I have on my commute, which is about an hour on the train. So, use that downtime and just stick to it every single day, or make it the first thing that you do in the morning so that you can get it done and then forget it. That's probably my best tip.
That sounds like a nice way. I especially like the commute, because that's a perfect time just to learn new skills and pick up new stuff, especially with all the online resources. For my interests, since I tried teaching myself quite a bit of coding and it's been quite slow learning, did you use LinkedIn Learning for all of it, or what other things did you try?
Yeah, so LinkedIn Learning is a great place to start because they teach you, I think, in a great way, and it gives you a good overview of everything. I think I used a mix of resources, and you've just got to work out what works best for you at the end of the day. For me, it's usually watching lots of YouTube videos and not actually doing anything to start with, and then maybe reading a couple of Medium blogs, and then giving it a go myself. That's the best way for me, but some people learn better through reading a textbook and then doing all the little bits through there. So one is work out what works best for you, and then the second thing is use I think a variety of resources. Don't just use LinkedIn Learning, but if you've got access, YouTube's a great resource, but there's also a lot of crap on there, so you have to be discerning. But yeah, Medium's also awesome.
I have to give that a go next time I sit down and start coding.
Happy to help.
Also, something that you mentioned earlier was LinkedIn posts. For students especially, how do you know what to post and what will actually add value to the community?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So I don't think you have to worry too much about the audience per se and what's going to add value to them. Your focus shouldn't be, I guess, getting your post to go viral, but it should be if I looked back, or if I was a mentor for myself a year ago, what would I tell that person, right? It's reflecting on yourself and what advice you would give yourself. and pop that onto LinkedIn, whether that's, you know, how you work in a team, or it's how you organize your uni notes or something like that. It's really tiny things that, you know, people younger than you or at your age will find, you know, of value, essentially. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way of phrasing it. What you think you would tell yourself a year ago.
Yeah.
Also, for some of our watchers who may be trying or thinking of doing a startup, how would you suggest finding a team if you've got an idea already?
Yeah, great question. Sorry, I'm in the office. I think the first thing is to find someone that's hardworking or is as passionate about the idea as you are. I think the worst thing, and like one of the worst things when you start a startup, is having a co-founder that isn't as passionate about the idea as you and doesn't want to put in the effort the same way that you do, or the learning and all the rigor and that sort of thing. So yeah, find someone that you love, but also wants to work hard with you and is passionate about the same thing. But don't be afraid to say, hey, I don't think this is working out as well, which is something that I'm learning through the Antler process right now. But it's really hard, and I don't think I've perfected it. I didn't have anyone that was an awesome co-founder for my last startup. So, you know, I tried to be a solo founder for that, and it's super duper hard. So if you can find a friend or a relative or someone that can help you out, that's awesome.
Thank you for that advice. Also, throughout your years of experience at uni, how have you managed to balance your involvement in societies and studies?
Yeah, good question. Well, I love being a busybody. That's what keeps me motivated every day. So that's probably the first thing. The second thing is that, you know, sometimes they're just like a break from uni work. So rather than sitting in the library all day, I was, you know, connecting with people and learning from them, which makes it worthwhile at the end. I'm a huge advocate of Google Calendar, utilizing my commute time as well. I think it's such precious time that can be spent. So making sure that you sleep at home and then you're working on the train is awesome. You just have to be really awesome with time management and really strict with yourself, which I think is a boring thing to say, but you've got to work out what works best for you, and whether that's sleeping on your commute or, you know, working, and being really good with your time management is probably the second thing. And delegation and working with teams, just as important too.
I have to say, I agree with all that, and I love your suggestion of Google Calendar. It's like my favorite thing and helps me keep like organized with everything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, last week we actually did painting with coffee, using that as a paint medium, but you've actually had quite an experience of actually making coffee art. What's the best thing and most creative thing you've made?
That's a great question. I wish I had like all my terrible coffee art fails from Canva. That'd be awesome to show. I think I created like a Charmander once, but by accident, because my coffee looked really bad and my coffee art came out really bad.
That's still pretty cool, I've got to say.
It didn't really look like a Charmander, I'll be honest.
Oh. And what have you been doing outside your work life as hobbies currently?
Good question. A lot of it is sleeping and de-stressing. My days are super intensive. Like, it's not like being in a normal office at this stage, because the way that Antler runs is that you sort of try and find your own co-founder at the start. And so I'm still in that process of finding my right co-founder and the right idea. So that means talking to lots of people all the time, talking to people in groups, pitching ideas, invalidating ideas, which is really mentally taxing. So usually it's just rest and recuperation, but otherwise it's like playing with my dog, going for a run, and I try to paint as well when I get some time on the weekends.
Oh, that's always like a nice relaxing hobby.
Yeah.
What sort of things have you been painting? Has it been landscapes like Bob Ross, or more creative stuff like your dog?
Probably not either. I'm doing a series of paintings, like huge ones, which are from Flume's album artworks. So using the flowers from like Never Be Like You and stuff like that. Working on them.
That's super interesting. And thank you for the interview, Nivaaz. You've been super friendly and given such great advice to everyone listening.
No worries. Please reach out and chat to me if you feel like it.
Today we'll be making some macrame plant hangers. So this is the final product. First you need some strings. For me, I have 4 1 meter long strings. Here I'm just folding them in half and then using this hanging thing I had available. You don't need to have this, but it's very optional. Yeah, just tying it on very securely. And then I'm gonna to tie the strings together with itself to like make sure it's very secure. And then what you do now is you take 2 of the strings, and then here I'm just measuring how I want it to hang. So here I just want it to be halfway of the plant pot. But yeah, you tie 2 pieces of string together, and then you do that for 4 times. You do that with the other ones. Here, yeah, I'm doing another one. Yeah, just making sure they all match. You can see here I'm like comparing the length. They don't match exactly, but it's good enough. Okay. Yeah, I'm counting how many strings I have left. But yeah, here's another knot. Oh, by the way, the plant pot I use is just like a spare jar that I have on hand, but you can use anything. And another knot. And that's it. That's the first step of this plant hanger. Yeah, I'm just adjusting the length so they match evenly. But it's good enough. Here what I'm doing is just like grabbing 2 different knots and then tying 2 strings together, one from each knot, so that they make they can have that. How do I explain this? You see what I'm doing here. So I tied 2 knots together so they connect to each other using only 2 pieces of string. So like you can connect the other piece with another knot. Here I'm doing the second one. Make sure that it's similar in length. Here I'm just double checking if they're similar. And then you do that to the rest of the string as well. That's the last one. So what you want to have is like all the knots connected together. So when you open it up, it's gonna to hold the pot. And then that's the second step. And after that, I'm just gonna tie off the end. You can see here I'm tying off the end if you tie off the end, it makes sure the plant pot's not gonna fall out, obviously. But yeah, making sure it's very secure. And then if you want, you can trim off the bottom bit, but I like it like that, so I didn't touch it. And then that's it.